Todd, Amy, I welcome you both to SuperChat. Todd, your school district has a revenue issue currently that is affecting the services you are able to provide. And I was wondering if you could give your stakeholders a description of this revenue shortfall, some specifics on how it has all come about.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time here lately going from school to school, talking to our faculties and our staff, also meeting with our PTAs in the evening. So we are coming to a point where we are incurring a deficit because of a funding issue from the state of Ohio. So this morning I've invited Amy Wells, our treasurer, CEO, to talk to us about what's going on in this area and some of the things that have led to this.
What services in particular are being impacted by this need for additional revenue?
Well, it could be class ratio, how many students per teacher. It could be administration. It can be busing. It can be classified employees. It can be all encompassing of everything that affects the daily learning for every student.
What is the connection between tax millage and the school district? Can you give our listeners just a basic primer on the basics of how this funding process works?
Gary, this is Amy. In 1976, the state passed House Bill 920, which required every property owner in the state of Ohio to pay 20 mills to their local school district. So most property tax bills will have about 50% of their tax bill going to the local school district. And 1 mill is $35 on a $100,000 value. So for Northwest, we receive 29 mills to support public education and our daily operating expenses.
So I would assume that based on what we've been talking about a little bit on this revenue shortfall, you will likely need to place a levy on the November 2019 ballot, right?
Yes, correct. We actually haven't had new revenue since 2007. And that year we passed an emergency levy for a little over $7 million. However, since 2004, the state has reduced our revenue by $11 million. So we haven't even made up for the shortfall from the state. And we haven't had new revenue since 2007. So expenditures continue to increase, and we'll have to ask for additional revenue in order to keep up with current expenses.
Well, the expenses certainly since 2007 are substantially different. This really should surprise no one. And 2007 is a critical 12 years.
Yes, and Gary, what most people don't understand is when a levy is passed, that revenue is flat. It never grows. So as each levy is passed, the school district does not receive additional revenue each year. As valuations go up or as homeowners' valuations change, our revenue stays flat. The only way the school district receives additional revenue is to ask for an additional levy.
Well, in the news lately, the Ohio legislature is currently discussing, fairly seriously, I think, they are discussing some alternatives to school funding formulas. It's not been 100% formalized at all yet, but what would it take for Ohio school funding to, in an ideal world, be financially realistic at a district level and more equitable for taxpayers at the same time, if there is such a combination?
Well, the new process that Representative Cupp and Patterson have worked on is a great formula in that it does list specifics for education. However, because we are a wealthy suburban school district and the state requires a state and local share, we're required locally to support the school district at a larger percentage than the state.
Well, I'm sure that as we get closer into the summer, we'll probably discuss this again on a future episode as more details come available and you know a little bit more as it relates to a November 19 ballot issue. So, Todd, let me change directions altogether on you. Do you believe it? Graduation is right around the corner on the district's calendar. I don't know where the time goes. So remind listeners as to when high school graduation ceremonies will actually be held.
I mean, this year has flew. I agree with you. The kids are ready to go. We get to spring weather. We know graduation's right around the corner. Last year, we made a significant move with our location because we could not get Millett Hall. So we will again this year be at Northern Kentucky University. We will have two high school graduations. The first one will be Northwest High School on Monday, May 20th, and the second will be Colerain High School on Tuesday, May 21st. It will be important for seniors to make sure they wrap up all their courses, get all the necessary classes passed in order to have their pathway for graduation, and then conclude with the graduation ceremonies of getting their diploma and walking across the stage. So it's a really exciting time. It's an important time. A lot of these kids and these families have worked very hard to get to this point, and it's just a time to celebrate their achievements.
Agreed. It is an exciting time, as any one of us think back about that. And I would just say to each and every student, finish this year out strong. Just give it all you got between now and the finish line because it all adds up and counts. Well, Todd, Amy, I do appreciate both of you coming on the show today and laying out what the school district is facing funding-wise. We'll talk more about that later, I'm sure, on another episode. The situation you are in is almost always involves difficult decisions, though. I know how this works. I hope our listeners now have a better understanding of that it is real. 2007 is a long time ago, but I do want to thank both of you for coming on and sharing this information today here on SuperChat.
Thanks, Gary. We always appreciate it. Very appreciative of what you do.